Everyone, we're joined by Northwestern head coach Chris Collins. We'll begin with an opening statement, then we'll take questions.
Yeah, really good win for us tonight. Man, that was a physical game. That was sometimes you get to the second half of the Big Ten, you're starting to see, the physicality because teams know each other so well, and I thought in the first half it really kind of affected how we were playing offense, especially. And then I thought in the second half we really regrouped. Our guys really got poised in the second half, and I thought our defense was fantastic. To hold Trace to 13 points on 13 shots. It's pretty good. He's one of the best players in the country, and obviously we didn't have advance warning, so all of a sudden you have to kind of adjust to a different lineup, which obviously they didn't have their main guys, but they still had some pretty good guys out there, and we're a little bit fortunate with that. But at the end of the day, you got to play the games, and we've had to play games without Chase, we've had to play games without Pete, and you have to figure it out. So it was a really good win. I thought our poise down the stretch, we got stops, we made free throws, we didn't turn it over. Even when we had possessions where we didn't score, we worked the clock, and just thought our poise down the stretch. I'm sure you guys won't ask me about a close game tonight like you do when we lose, but I thought it was pretty darn good, our end game execution tonight. So I'm open for questions.
First question right here.
This is the second game where Bowie's been leading the team in points. Can you just talk about his impact on this team and if he's really become a team leader down the stretch in these games?
Yeah, I mean he's a guy. When the game's on the line, he's not afraid. He wants the ball, and I thought not only the shots, he hit the big floater, which was huge, but even I thought he made a great find to Ryan Greer, late in the game. I thought he made a great find to Chase, where Geronimo made a really good block there at the end of the clock when Pete had the last second shot that didn't count. But his decision making has gotten a lot better. He's finding a way to kind of score, and even though he didn't have any assists tonight, I thought he still kind of set the table for our guys. A lot of that had to do with we just didn't shoot the ball well. He probably would have had 3 or 4 assists. 5 for 27 from 3. We got to clean that up, but he's playing great. He's playing great. He's playing like an older player, and you got to have good point guard play if you're going to win in this league. And when he plays like that, we're a tough team to play against.
I guess just from an Indiana standpoint, kind of when did you find out about the lineup adjustments, and kind of how'd you react or adjust to it?
Yeah, we didn't find out until they put their lineup in, because those guys, I always, before a game, our guys in street clothes, our guys, obviously we knew Finnessy was hurt. Once you saw he was in street clothes, we knew he wasn't going to play, but all those other guys were out there warming up. So, there was no indication that they weren't going to play. So we really didn't find out until 12 minutes before the game. Obviously it changes things a little bit because, Xavier Johnson, some of the things he does, Parker Stewart, what he brings to the table, some of their bench guys, not having Bates, not having Lander, it made their guys log heavy minutes. So we really made a point to try to continue, even though we weren't scoring a lot, we wanted to push the tempo, because we knew those guys were going to have to play a lot of minutes, and hopefully fatigue did play a little bit of a factor. But I give them a lot of credit. Those guys that they had out there, they fought, on the fly. Galloway's playing point. He played fantastic in a role he never does. Geronimo's out there playing on the wing. He normally doesn't do that. So I give their guys a lot of credit, the guys that did play, because they made it real hard on us to win tonight.
Question to the right over here.
Hey, Coach. Tonight, like you mentioned how good your defense played, and I thought especially on ball screens, you guys seemed really on point, guarding all their stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think just the team took it to lock in even extra hard on that with their shots not falling, just were super detailed with that?
Yeah, it turned into a game where you saw, it was going to be defense, and the referee, they did a good job. They were letting guys play. There was contact on both ends. They were letting guys play. A lot of banging, a lot of holding, and you got to adjust to that. And I'll give them credit; they were consistent the whole night with that. And obviously, early in the game we didn't do a great job. I thought Galloway got downhill on us 2 or 3 times early, but then I thought as the game wore on, I thought our ball screen defense was very good. And it was just going to be that kind of game. We got stops in the last 2 minutes, other than the one time I think Leo drove in and found Race Thompson for a dunk. after we had scored, we got really good stops. I mean, the biggest stop of the game there was when we were up 6. They just disallowed Pete's shot there at the end, and it was 57-51, and I think there was, close to 50-plus seconds left, and we basically had them have a shot clock violation. Did a great job. We talked, we switched. They forced Kopp had like an up and under shot, that missed, and we ate up the clock, and then, we're able to get fouled and make 2 free throws. So, overall, the defense, we held them to 51 points. So, the defense was certainly the catalyst for this win.
Coach, tonight obviously was Miller Kopp's return to Evanston. What were your conversations like with Miller before the game, and what did this win mean to the team, considering it was against one of your former players?
Yeah, well, the conversations are private. Miller and I have a great history together. There's not anyone that I've recruited since I've been here harder than Miller, because I've loved him from the first time I saw him play, as a junior in high school, and that stays the same. And I'm forever grateful for the 3 years he gave us. He came in during a rebuilding time with that class, Ryan Young, Ryan Greer, Pete Nance, and he came in together on the heels of kind of losing McIntosh and Lindsey and Law and all those guys. And he was always a guy, he's super competitive, came to work every day, hardworking guy, and that doesn't change, and so it wasn't about him tonight. It was about Indiana. We didn't make it about him at all. It was about guarding Indiana. It was about playing Indiana, beating Indiana, and he'll forever, 3 years here, man, he'll forever have a home to me, and obviously I wish him nothing but the best.
Coach, we saw a lot of Ryan Young and Pete Nance on the floor together. Was that kind of a game plan to go up against Thompson and Jackson?
Yeah, it was matchup driven. We wanted to keep bodies on those guys all night, whether it was Elijah, whether it was Robbie, and then kind of to close the game, we went with Ryan and Pete, just because they play those 2 traditional big guys, and I just felt having those guys on the floor. It was such a defensive game, that I felt like we needed that size on the floor and the physicality there at the end to try to match up with those 2 kids.
Over here.
Coach, you kind of subbed Greer for Bowie right at that 16-minute mark, and then he had the 3-point burst. Can you just speak to his kind of production right there, how important that was, and then his late game production too?
About Booze?
About Greer.
Yeah, Greer's been fantastic, guys. Greer's really been a steadying force for us. What we found too is it allows us to get Boo off the ball a little bit. Those guys can play together. It allows Greer to bring the ball up the floor. He's so steady. He knows what we want to get into. And then I can utilize Boo coming off screens, bringing him out of the corner on dribble handoffs and coming off pin downs and things like that, and take away some of his energy maybe from bringing the ball up the floor. And it kind of gives teams a different look, And so, I just think our bench in general, I think it's a real underrated part of our team. When you can bring in Ryan Greer, Ty Berry, Elijah Williams, and Ryan Young, to me that you bring in guys, they come in for starters who are tired, but you bring in starting level players. I believe those guys are like starters, and I think it's one of the reasons why we're playing well is we kind of have found a rotation now with those 9 guys, and they're all kind of doing a great job in their roles.
Question all the way back there.
Yeah, Coach. So Pete was struggling to score tonight, but ended with 11 rebounds. What does he do outside of scoring that really helps his team?
Well, his defensive rebounding tonight. 9 defensive rebounds. I thought he got some big time ones in the second half, where there's multiple bodies and he just goes up in traffic and gets them. Certainly his passing and his skill set. We play a lot through him, through the high post, his ability to find cutters, space the floor. The shot wasn't going tonight, but what I was proud of him is he just kept playing in other areas. And for him to walk up and make 2 big free throws there on that hook and hold, that was huge. Ryan Young made 2 big ones. He made 2 big ones, and then Greer made 2 big ones at the end. We were 6 for 6 at the line. So just as steadying, he's a senior. He's a 4th-year guy. He's played in a lot of games. His ability to break the press, you saw in the last minute, he can inbound the ball. He can handle the ball. He can get it up the floor. Those are all things that make him very unique for his size.
And how has he changed more as a leader as well?
Yeah, it's been night and day. I've told him privately, and I'll say publicly, the transformation from where he was as a freshman, and maybe not a great body language guy, maybe not, and turning into our most positive guy and one of our most outspoken guys and a big-time leader. He and Greer, since our season ended last year, I'll give those guys a lot of credit. You know, they're in today's day and age, you have a year kind of like that where you endure a 13-game losing streak, you know, in the middle, sandwiched between 2-3 game, you know, streaks. But, you know, a year where everybody's kind of disappointed in today's day and age where it's easy to kind of just say, you know what, I'm going to try to find it somewhere else. Those guys kept the group together, you know, which has been great, you know, and since the spring, and that's why I'm just happy to see these guys rewarded. That more than anything, not about me, those tough losses in the first half of the conference, it's because of these guys and the investment they've made. They deserved better. And I'm so glad that they've stayed the course and continued to fight. And now they have some wins to show for it. And we've put ourselves in a position now with 7 games. They're going to be tough games, but we've put ourselves in position with 7 games to play meaningful games. And, you know, that's what we wanted to do in mid-February, early March. And now we have that opportunity.
Yeah, Coach, sorry, you may have already been asked this, I came in late, but when did you find out about what was going on with Indiana's roster?
Yeah, as soon as they had to put in the starting lineups, because those guys were out there warming up, you know, so we always say, is anybody, you know, as coaching staff, is anybody on street clothes, is anybody out? And all their guys were out there. So, you know, we anticipated them having their full roster, and we didn't know until they put the lineup in, and then we kind of heard rumblings that they were going to be out, you know, but I'm not on it, but the power of social media, you know, with grad assistants and stuff, kind of were able to see what was announced. And we just had to adjust on the fly. And well, I mean, it did. It did, because, you know, it took away, obviously, Xavier Johnson, Parker Stewart, Tamar Bates, Lander, you know, 4 of their athletic kind of guard wing type players. And it kind of made us, I knew that they were going to not have a lot of depth. So the main thing we talked about was just because we play 9 guys and we, you know, really Boo was the only guy who played over 30 minutes. So we wanted to keep fresh guys in there and hope over the course of the game, knowing that they were going to have to go heavy minutes, that maybe fatigue would set in there the last 10 minutes of the game.
Middle.
Coach, you kind of talked about the drafts that the offense had, but also the runs that you guys went on. So could you talk about, of course, the defense was stellar, but what kind of let the offense go on these runs or get things going?
Yeah, I just think sometimes when you throw yourself into competition, you forget about missing shots. You know, you're thinking about winning, you're thinking about getting a loose ball, you're thinking about, and then all of a sudden when the shot comes, and then I thought we took better shots, you know, in the first half. You know, I thought their kind of pressure, their physicality kind of forced us into some bad ones. I thought we made some bad decisions. They were doing a lot of switching. You know, I thought we were settling for long threes against their switching with guards against bigs instead of driving the ball, instead of hitting the post, you know, against their wing players. And we tried to do a better job of that in the second half. I thought we did. We got some better shots. And, you know, Chase saw the ball go in a little bit. You know, Boo hit a big 3 there right in front of our bench. And you know, we found enough. We found a way. Robbie hit a big 3 there during that stretch. We found a way to get enough points to hold them off.
Coach, I know you already got asked about Ryan Greer, but like, I was just thinking about how previous years, a lot of people's biggest reserves with him is that he wasn't the most willing shooter, seemed a little passive at times, and then tonight you see like he takes a big step back over a dude who's a lot taller than him. Like, what can you talk about, like? Maybe not his confidence change, maybe he's always been like that, but just to see it on the court where it's like, seems like a guy who more and more feels like he can go out and get buckets.
Yeah.
Hasn't been doing that.
It's awesome, man. You know, I'm so proud of Ryan. You know, he came in, you know, we kind of had recruited him to be a year after he came in. You know, he came in early, didn't play much, you know, when he was younger, kind of always, you know, had that little part of him that always like kind of wanted to play safe, you know, and he and I have had conversations about just going out there and hooping, you know, for lack of a better term, you know, like be aggressive, be feisty, you know, drive the ball, get in there, make plays. You got a big shot, take it with confidence. And, you know, it's fun a lot of times when you see kind of players become the player that you envision them becoming when you saw him as a young player. And he's done just that, and give him a lot of credit, give our coaching staff for his development. It's just fun to see his confidence right now to the point where, you know, we got to have him on the floor at the end of the game. He makes free throws. He takes care of the ball. He's a good defender. You know, he's become such an invaluable piece to our team.
I know you said no one will ask you about post game, but I'll break the seal. Do you think it's easier coming off 2 wins for like Greer or Pete to hit late free throws and get a stop? You think it's easier coming off 2 wins rather than losses?
Absolutely. I mean, guys, everybody, the human brain and the power of the mind and human nature, you know, you kind of live through your setbacks and your triumphs. And, for our guys, that's why I thought, even though we didn't like the way it happened, I thought the Rutgers game was huge. Even though we let the big lead go, for us to lose momentum from a 24-point lead, have them score on the last second to force overtime, have all the momentum, have all those kind of demons of close games past, for our guys to win that game in overtime, it was almost better than had we won by 20, to be quite honest. And because they saw, like, we can do this. We got some stops late. We did what we had to do. We won that game. We played very well at Nebraska on Saturday. And momentum is big, like you see a lot with teams. You find a momentum, you find a groove, your confidence is high. And, guys want to keep playing, which is exciting this time of year.
Any more questions? In the middle.
Yeah, Northwestern had a really big advantage rebounding tonight. What do you think really got into the team and helped them really dominate on the boards?
Yeah, you know what, guys? Kind of quietly, we've been a very good offensive rebounding team. You look at kind of our numbers on the year, and you look at times our girth, maybe because you see a Robbie or a Pete or, Boo and Greer and those guys out there. But, what Chase is a really good offensive rebounder. Julian Roper, is a guy who gets in there and grabs some O boards. Pete and Robbie and Ryan Young. And collectively, that's been a real strong suit of our team. So on a night like tonight where a lot of shots were missed, to be able to go in there and get some extra possessions. I mean, again, we had 15 more shots at the basket. That's a big deal. You guys who follow the numbers game, in a 50-point game, if you have 15 more shots at the basket on a team, it's going to be a pretty good advantage for you. And I thought that certainly helped.
Last question to the front.
You got 5 days before the rematch against Illinois. Is there anything you're going to take from this game that you're going to work on in practice just for the coming days?
Yeah, I mean, it gives our guys a time. We've had a tough stretch with a lot of games. We really haven't had a lot of days off. We've played kind of every third day here for the last 2 weeks or close to a month. It's going to be nice. They're going to have a chance to kind of get their legs, get their bodies right. We just played Illinois, so I think there'll be a familiarity level with both teams, having just played them last weekend. But they're a heck of a team, and obviously they present some things with Kofi and with those guards, and it's a really tough place to play in Champaign. But I think our guys are big excited about the opportunity and the challenge, and we'll go in there with confidence and give it our best shot and see what we can do.
Just one final question from up here. What does it mean to honor Billy McKinney during the game? What does he mean to you? What does he mean to the program in Northwestern?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I appreciate you asking it. I probably should have brought it up. For us, with this month being Black History Month, it was really important for us as a program, to use that to honor, a former players that have not only been trailblazers as players, but also as men. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do here. We want to develop these guys as men. We want them to be outstanding players. And to have a guy like Billy McKinney, comes from Zion Benton, African-American guy, comes in here, trailblazer as a player, probably, in my opinion, probably the best player to ever play here, NBA career, goes on to a great career in the front office in the NBA, was a general manager, and now is the mayor of his town, of Zion Benton. And there's no better there's no better guy to represent our program than Billy. He's doing our radio now. And you see when you talk to him about this program, the emotion in his eyes gets me emotional. How much he cares about this place, how much he knows that the people at at Northwestern impacted his life in so many ways, and how he wants that for our players. So it was a no-brainer for us tonight to honor him in that way. I wish we could do more. I want to get his number in the rafters one of these days. That's one of my goals. I think he deserves it. And just a great guy and a great representative of our program. And before I get out of here, students were amazing. Students were amazing, and we need it, guys. Like we need it. Everywhere we go, that's what we face. And for the students to come out tonight and to cheer the way they did, to be into the game the way they did, it got us through. And some of these atmospheres, we got to, we'll be back next week playing Purdue, and just encourage that hopefully they're having fun. We got a fun group to follow. These guys work their butts off. They fight their butts off. And when we get that kind of support, it really helps us. So want to shout out to the students for coming tonight. Thank you, guys.